Pebble Creek is one of Phoenix's most loved and sought after age-restricted communities, but just like any other community, it definitely has its major pros and benefits to moving to the community and its major drawbacks and cons to living to the community. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video. I am going to go over 3 pros to the community and also 3 cons or drawbacks to living in the community of Pebble Creek. Without further ado, let's get started. Now we are going to start with the cons or the drawbacks to moving here to Pebble Creek, because these are the things that maybe not too many people talk about and you might not know about. And then we'll end on a high note and go over all of the good parts about living here in Pebble Creek. Starting off, the first con we are going to talk about is obviously, you probably guessed it if you've done your research on Pebble Creek, the jet noise. Yes, Pebble Creek is located pretty close to Luke Air Force Base, and they definitely get some of that jet noise going over the community. It's actually right underneath the takeoff zone, so you'll get all of these kind of jet noises, and there are some parts of the community where it's much worse than other parts. I've stood under some homes during a showing and the whole house seems to be shaking, and it's pretty bad in some of these parts of the community. And then there are other parts of the community that are much less affected. This is definitely something to look into before you move into the community to see if it's going to be a bother to you. I would say if you're coming from a pretty big city or you're near an airport already, it's not going to make the biggest of deal for you. But if you are from more of a rural area and you're not used to kind of all of this jet noise, then definitely look into this before moving into the community. Do one of the stay in place if you can in the community, so you can spend, an entire 24 to 48 hours within the community, so you can kind of tell what times of day really affect you when it comes to this jet noise. Obviously, there are 6,200 homes in the community that people live in, so there are a lot of people who it does not affect, but you definitely want to make sure that you are not one of the people that it really does affect and it's going to be a bother to you. Before I jump into the next drawback of Pebble Creek, I wanted to let you know I do have a completely free 55 plus community guide. It goes over all of the different information of all of the different 55 plus communities that we have here in the greater Phoenix area, so that you're not missing out on any of them. It goes over all of the different statistics that you would want to know, like HOA fees and home prices. It also has a map that plots them all out and a spreadsheet at the end to compare all of the different age-restricted communities. It's a completely free resource. I've seen it help a lot of different people when deciding on which 55 plus community is best for them. So reach out to me. My name and number are on the screen and I can send it your way. The next drawback to living in Pebble Creek is the fact that it has 2 different sides to the community. So this is something that not too many people really know about until they actually come and visit the community in person and discover this in person. So Pebble Creek Drive intersects with a street called Clubhouse Drive, and at this intersection there are 2 main gates to get to the community. So if you go north into the Eagle's Nest side, that is where one of the clubhouses is, and if you go south into the Tuscany side, that is where the other clubhouse is. So this is a pretty busy intersection. The speed limit for the 2 streets is 45 miles an hour, so it is a normal main road there. But if you live in the Eagle's Nest side, say, and you want to go down to the Tuscany Clubhouse, which is where a lot of the action is going on, a lot of the clubs meet there at the Tuscany Clubhouse, you will have to cross this main street. Many residents do this in their golf cart because it's a controlled intersection. There's stoplights there, so whenever it's green, you can just cross the intersection in your golf cart. It's not too big of a deal, but this is something that you want to look into before moving into the community. If you want to be very close to the Tuscany side, make sure you're looking at homes on the Tuscany side, not in the Eagle's Nest side. It'd be a bummer if you bought a home in the Eagle's Nest side and didn't realize that you would have to be crossing a street the entire time to get to the other side, and vice versa. If you wanted to be near the Eagle's Nest side, but you bought a home in the Tuscany side, just make sure that you're okay with crossing the street in your golf cart or walking there. It might be a little bit of a drive as well if you bought one on the opposite side of the Tuscany side and you wanted to get all the way to the Eagle's Nest side. So keep this in mind when looking at homes in Pebble Creek. If you want to be on the Tuscany side, make sure you're looking in only the Tuscany side. And if you want to buy a home on the Eagle's Nest side, make sure you're looking on only the Eagle's Nest side. As I mentioned though, both sides have full access to each other's amenities. So it's not like you only get access to the Eagle's Nest amenities or only the Tuscany side amenities. I'm strictly just talking about ease of access and if whether or not you want to cross a main street in a golf cart. And the third and final drawback I'm going to talk about on Pebble Creek is the selection of new build homes that they are currently offering. Now, a little spoiler alert, one of the major benefits I'm going to talk about in Pebble Creek is how much variation and selection that you get when looking at homes in Pebble Creek. But right now I'm going to talk about only the new build homes. Right now, the lots that the builder currently has available, a lot of them are really close to the highway, so a lot of them have highway noise. They only have about 100 lots left. The location within the community just is not the best. Nobody really wants to spend all this money on a brand new home if you're going to hear the freeway and the highways the entire time you're living there. And then the other major drawback to these new build homes right now, the current selection they have, is just how expensive the upgrades are. When you compare some of these upgrades and lot premiums to some other builders, for instance, Victory at Verrado, which is probably their main competition. It's only about 10 minutes down the I-10 freeway. It's also an age-restricted community that is offering new builds. You compare how much the builder here in Pebble Creek is charging for upgrades and lot premiums compared to Victory at Verrado's builders, how much they're charging for premiums and upgrades. And it's really a no-brainer. The Pebble Creek builder definitely charges more than some of these other builders, which can be tough to budget for when you're looking at the base price of these homes, not realizing that you have to add in all of these lot premiums and builder upgrades. I can tell you right now, if you're looking for a brand new home in Pebble Creek straight from the builder, there's not going to be anything available less than $750,000 to about $800,000. And these are going to be pretty standard base upgrades, nothing like you would see in those model homes that you tour when you see the community. So if you are still with me after bearing through those 3 major drawbacks of living here in Pebble Creek, I appreciate you, and I will reward you with the 3 major pros and major benefits of living here in Pebble Creek. Let's get started with number 1. The first benefit I'm going to talk about, which you have probably heard about a million times if you've done any research on Pebble Creek, is how active the community is. I've probably said this in every video I've made about Pebble Creek because it is the honest truth. Pebble Creek is one of the most, if not the most active 55+ community of them all. I am always seeing residents using the amenities. They have over 100 chartered clubs. They have 2 main clubhouses that have events going on throughout the year. They have 2 par 72 golf courses. They have an indoor pool. They have 2 outdoor pools. They have 2 state-of-the-art fitness centers and just so many different ways to get involved in the community. They've also got a completely separate art studio that has a gift shop, woodworking, ceramics, painting, all these different ways to get involved. But personally, I see the residents in Pebble Creek take the most advantage of all of these interest groups and amenities more than a lot of the other residents in some of the other communities that you might see. Pebble Creek also has a softball field with different leagues that run throughout the year, so that's just another way for residents to get involved and meet other like-minded people within the community. The second pro or draw to this community, which I already spoiled, is the different variation in homes here. So they started building homes here in Pebble Creek in 1994, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, they still are building brand new homes here today in 2025. So over 30 years of development here in Pebble Creek, you're going to be able to find homes built in all these different time periods, from the 90s to the early 2000s to the 2010s, and now here in the 2020s. So you'll see so many different models throughout the community, a lot of different variation in floor plans. You'll find homes ranging from 1,100 square feet all the way to 3,400 square feet. And there's over 6,200 homes in the community. So just so many different options and homes built in so many different time periods that you'll be able to find some that maybe need a little bit of work. Maybe you want to redo the countertops or the cabinets in one home and buy it for a little bit cheaper. Or maybe you want a home built in 2015 with a newer HVAC and a newer kitchen and newer appliances. You're going to be able to find both homes that need a little bit of work if you want a project, and homes that are completely move-in ready with a lot of different floor plans and models to choose from. So finding a home that is of your taste is easier to do in Pebble Creek than some other communities. Now, last but not least, a major pro to living in Pebble Creek is the location. Pebble Creek is one of the most centrally located age-restricted communities in the entire valley. You'll see a lot of these communities are kind of scattered along the outskirts of town, whether it's in the East Valley or the West Valley. Pebble Creek is located here in Goodyear, Arizona, just off of the I-10 freeway and the 303. It's only 30 to 35 minutes from the airport in downtown Phoenix, which is the closest out of any community this size. You'll find some maybe smaller communities with really no real amenities that are a little bit closer to downtown Phoenix. But of the communities that have large-scale golf courses and amenities, Pebble Creek is the most central to the rest of the valley. So you can hop on that I-10 freeway, be to downtown Phoenix in about a half an hour, or you can keep going over to Scottsdale, be there in about 45 minutes. So just the access to the rest of the valley living here in Pebble Creek is a major pro and draw to this community. If you're going to do the snowbird lifestyle, or you're just a big traveler, getting to the airport in a timely manner is something that you need to account for when looking in these communities. There are some communities that are over an hour away from the airport. And do you really want to drive over an hour to your community after being on a long flight, coming here, looking forward to being in your second home? Something to keep in mind and take into account before purchasing in one of these age-restricted communities. With its great I-10 freeway access, it's very easy to get to all of the big box shopping like Costco, Sam's Club, and it's only about 5.5 hours away from San Diego. So if you did want to get out of town for a weekend, maybe you're a full-time resident and the summers are getting to you, it's very easy to zip out of town to San Diego for a weekend, enjoy the beach, or go up north to Flagstaff in about 2 hours and enjoy the highs of 70s up north while it's highs of 110 here in the summer. Now, those are the major pros and cons to living here in Pebble Creek. I am a licensed real estate agent here in the greater Phoenix area. My name is Caden Leali. If you are planning a move to Arizona, I'd love to help you out with that. I hope this video brought to light maybe some of the cons that you weren't quite thinking of before moving into Pebble Creek. I have that 55 plus community guide. If you'd like it, shoot me an email. My name and number are on the screen and I can send it your way. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.